Welcome to our webinar today. It is part 2 of 3 webinars on the science of rejuvenation. Today we're going to talk about the science behind telomeres, stem cells, and longevity. There are 3 main factors that affect your genetic health, DNA, and the aging process. They are epigenetics, which is the topic we covered in our last webinar, and today we're going to discuss chromosome integrity and cell longevity. DNA integrity and longevity is affected by many factors, including your genetics, your lifestyle choices, and your diet. Of utmost importance to your body is protecting the integrity of the DNA in every cell. DNA integrity means that your genetic code is not being affected by damage to the DNA. The mechanism of keeping cells alive and with intact DNA relies on telomeres and telomerase. The study of telomeres and telomerase is a relatively new, important, and dynamic area of anti-aging science. This is a very basic explanation of how your DNA ages. There are caps at the end of your chromosomes that have no DNA. These are called telomeres. Each time a cell divides, this end cap gets a little shorter. After a certain number of cell divisions due to aging or with certain diseases and stressors, the end cap in a given cell becomes critically short. Cells with too short end caps become senescent. They are chemically guided into non-activity. They will not duplicate anymore, or they die. Older people generally have shorter end cap safety left. And telomerase is a naturally occurring enzyme that we produce, which when activated will lengthen that end cap, which gives more longevity to that cell. And how this looks is that here is your chromosome, and at the end of your chromosome are these end caps, which are called telomeres. Every time your cell divides, as a byproduct of that division, a little bit of that safety is eaten away. And generation by generation, it's eaten away until there's nothing left. And the next time that cell replicates itself, it will start eating away at the DNA. This signals the body to stop the cell replication at this point. Or if you're healthy and vital, it will signal the body to produce an enzyme called telomerase, which can re-lengthen that end cap, giving that cell longer lifetime, a longer lifespan and replication time. Important facts about telomeres include telomere lengths tend to get shorter with age, but not in every individual, and there doesn't seem to be any ethnic background to that at all. Certain cancers can lengthen cancer cell telomeres, which makes those cells in effect immortal, and that's the problem with certain cancers, as a matter of fact. Oxidative stress is a major cause of the loss of your telomere. The causes of telomere shortening are more than simply cell replication, and along with oxidative stress, they include other dietary factors, epigenetic factors, and certain diseases. And this is just a really nice image of your chromosomes with the yellow pieces at the end that are kind of lit up. That is your telomere. So some important facts about telomerase. Telomerase is a naturally occurring enzyme. We produce it in response to a shortened telomere if you have health and vitality. Telomerase lengthens that chromosome end cap, which adds life to the cell. Cortisol will inhibit the expression of telomerase. So we know that stress chemistry will prevent your body from producing telomerase even if a cell needs it. And telomerase production appears to be supported by certain key micronutrients, which makes sense because telomeric DNA is based on amino acids and enzymes. And so if you don't have the right amino acids, if you don't have the right minerals to make the enzymes to create telomerase, you are not going to be able to do so, even if you're otherwise fairly healthy. So again, this is your chromosome. This is the strand of your DNA in your chromosome, and this is the end cap. This is your telomere. It's called a G-string overhang, which I think is kind of interesting. And in that telomere, it looks like this. These are combinations of amino acids. And this is your telomerase. And your telomerase is an enzyme. It's an enzyme that rebuilds this end cap. So let's take a closer look at what that looks like. So here's your DNA. Here is your end cap. And this enzyme, the telomerase enzyme, comes up, it engulfs that single strand, that G-string strand, the G overhang, and it replicates it to make it longer again. So this is just an illustration of how that looks. What's interesting to me is that the proteins that are in the strand and the protein in the template will determine if the telomerase activates or not. And the proteins in this strand can shift and change in response to oxidative stress along with other diseases. So it is vitally important that we pay attention to the micronutrients that we eat and also our stress levels so that we keep these end strands with the right proteins to activate telomerase. Once a cell loses too much of its telomeres, it has to stop reproducing, and I talked a little bit about that. It enters a state called senescence. And this is where a cell isn't able to function. It won't replicate, but it actually isn't dead or dying. And this is a huge issue. A senescent cell is basically like a zombie cell. It does nothing, and it leaches your body's vitality and energy, but if your body does not have the necessary nutrients or energy to remove it, it just sits there. And what's fascinating to me is that recent studies indicate that by age 80, many people, over 50% of their body are senescent cells, which explains why the aging process might quicken faster and faster and faster near the end of your life. If the majority of your body is not healthy enough to replicate or support your life functions, that energy drain after a certain critical point will kill you. And this is from a scientific explanation of senescent cells. The normal cells, stress or the telomere shortening causes it to go into senescence. And if your body has the right materials, the senescent cell will send out a chemical signal that will recruit an immune cell to come and kill it. It will clear it out. And that leads to tissue homeostasis, which means your tissue stays healthy, even rejuvenation, which we're going to talk about next, embryonic development, if this happens to be an embryo, and regeneration. But if your body cannot get an immune cell recruitment response happening for whatever reason, maybe your immune function is off, you have other disease processes, maybe you don't have the right nutrients to create the chemistry that would recruit that immune cell, then these senescent cells accumulate. And hopefully, if they accumulate enough, again, that will stimulate an immune cell activation and clear this out. So once they start to accumulate, it can be cleared again. But if they are not cleared, you get cancer, aging, and I think it's interesting, pulmonary fibrosis is a side effect of senescent cell accumulation in your lungs. So a healthy, vital body is directed to kill and remove senescent cells via your immune system. And then it replaces them with a brand new cell. And that replacement cell is an adult stem cell. And this is a picture. I encourage you to go to this website if you like it, Andrew Paul Leonard. These are all copyrighted images. And this is a picture of stem cells that have been produced in bone marrow. This is actually bone back here with these little holes in it. That's what your bone looks like. Adult stem cells are the keystones to our body's repair and rejuvenation systems. They're found in many tissues. They're very abundant in blood, bone marrow, and some other organs. They're also abundant in fat. But science has discovered that the stem cells in fat are not particularly active. The stem cells in bone marrow, for example, are very active. They can be recruited and inserted to replace tissue as needed very easily. Adult stem cells are blank checks. They can become any type of tissue, including eye, heart, and even brain cells. As we age, we produce fewer, less active stem cells. Additionally, they are more prone to oxidative damage, which can lead to cancer stem cells. And I'll talk about that in a moment. Certain foods are proven to increase the health, activity, and vitality of adult stem cells. So what is a cancer stem cell? It is a stem cell that has been damaged at the DNA level most of the time due to oxidative damage. So it's very important, if you're going to use any kind of stem cell therapy, that you make sure that you reduce and remove oxidative stress as much as possible during that process. So a stem cell can become a part of the mesoderm, which are your organ systems and your red blood cells, the ectoderm, which is your skin, the neurons in your brain, and your endoderm, which is some of your other organs, your liver cells, your alveolar cells, which is in your lung. A stem cell can become anything, is the bottom line. So why is stem cell replacement necessary? As we age, we produce fewer and less active stem cells. Additionally, they are more prone to oxidative damage, which can lead to the cancer stem cell I talked about. This also means that as you age, your body will not have the stem cell activity to replace all of the senescent cells that are coming up. So luckily, there are several forms of stem cell therapies available today, but by far and away, the safest and most cost-effective of these is to use targeted nutritional supplements. There are nutritional supplements that can dramatically increase the vitality and number of your healthy adult stem cells. But let's take a look at some of the other therapies, because I think it's... Stem cell therapy is also called regenerative medicine. It is a very popular therapy for many of the cosmetic side effects of aging. It is considered to be an upcoming replacement for organ transplants. I know that they have experimented with rebuilding eye tissue, breast tissue, liver tissue, and successfully so. Bone marrow transplants are the first form of, and are still the most common type of, stem cell therapy. And before science even realized that bone marrow was such a rich source of stem cells, they were using it as a therapy for cancer, in particular leukemia. And if you look at some of the statistics, annually 160,000 patients receive stem cell therapy products or treatments. Over 60,000 stem cell transplants take place annually. So these are transplants of stem cells into people with diseases. More than 2,500 regenerative medicine clinical trials are in process or progress. 7 therapy products were approved in 2012, and over $5 billion have been invested in the regenerative medicine industry. So this is from 2013. This has only gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. There's a lot of money in this, is what I'm trying to say. And because there's a lot of money, drug companies are putting a lot of money into different types of stem cell therapies. And some of them are quite invasive. Not all of them are extremely successful. And so when you look at the options that include things like eating a targeted nutritional, it begins to make even more sense. The science on adult stem cells. There are many studies proving that adult stem cells can repair, and in some cases completely replace, damaged tissues and even organs. Proven benefits include improving vision, healing from brain injury, repairing pancreatic dysfunction, replacing damaged joint tissues, and there's much, much more. Adult stem cells are currently being used to treat over 70 diseases, including more than 25 types of cancer. And then this is just a little overview. Spine conditions, shoulder pain, knee pain, hip pain, ankle pain, elbow pain, arthritis. This is an advertisement from an orthopedic doctor. So you begin to see the type of medical interest because it's effective. It's using your own body's processes to help you rebuild. On the next webinar, we're going to get down to the meat of what this series is really about, which is including the diet and lifestyle hacks to help you improve your DNA health. Hope you enjoyed it today.